Yo, what up guys, it's your boy Pumpkin back with another video, back on the daily grind. And let's get right into the video. For today we're going to be talking about who will be winning the Premier League after just 2 games in. And that being said, I have to admit that 2 games, you're still way too early into the season to really decide anything. But I think we are seeing early signs of team strugglings, of teams continuing in a form that they were in last season, and teams that can basically, like we all expected with the signings of Liverpool, for instance, we all expected with all their great signings that they would just start the ground running. But I knew it wasn't going to be that straightforward. In football, 1 + 1 does not always equal 2. Just because you get a player that is better everywhere in certain positions doesn't always mean that they're just gonna integrate into a team so easily. We've seen this with Real Madrid. You thought that adding Mbappe was just gonna fix everything, or not really fix everything, but just make everything smoother. But it throws the balance off of the team, and we're seeing that Wirtz, he's not hitting the ground running like how we all thought he was. Ekitike has been a good signing, but I forgot who the left back is. I forgot the name of the left back from Bayer Leverkusen, but he has been struggling as well. And also, you're dealing with the age. It's basically the battle against Father Time for both Salah and Van Dijk, and even Alisson. Really, I think he the last goal against Newcastle that he conceded, I thought he could have done better. And I think prime Alisson, I know it was like a tricky time, because you caught him when he was trying to close in. I forgot the name of the Newcastle striker, but I think a younger Alisson could have done a little better in that situation. But yeah, Liverpool, they're 2 games into the season. They're really 3 games into it, because you saw that they played against Newcastle, which is a little bit of a glorified friendly, but they didn't do good. They were low-key. They were looking for that. They lost against Crystal Palace, against Newcastle, and against, was it Burnley who they faced? No, yeah, I think they played Burnley first. But was it Burnley? There was whichever team they played in their opening season game. They were looking for that last-minute winner, and yeah, it was also the case like that for Newcastle, and Newcastle played majority of that game with 10 men, which just looks bad for Liverpool. But moving on to the other contender, it was really just 3 title. There was only just 3, or actually 4 teams who were arguably in the race for a title. The other team is Arsenal, who they started off their game against Manchester United not looking the best. They won the game, which is good. They were able to grind out the win, but I thought Manchester United looked better from the 2 teams, at least in the first game. In the second game, you saw that their striker, I can never pronounce the name of the new Arsenal striker, Gravenberch. I don't know, some type of Swedish name, but whatever his name is, Gravenberch, or is that something like that? He struggled in the first game, but he found a little bit of his form. I don't think that he is a striker that should really play with the ball on his feet. I think you have to play him a little bit like Haaland. I think he's better than Haaland in the dribbling and in the passing aspect, but scoring, we're going to see how that comes out, because he didn't do good. He didn't look good in the first game. He looked better in the second game. I don't think he looked as good as what his price tag was relating to. But yep, Arsenal are looking good, and the best thing about Arsenal is that they can grind out a result. Now the second part is, can they get the goals? Last season, I think where you would see Arsenal mess up, and basically will put them out of the title race last season, was their red cards that they were getting, and that were making them lose points early. Arsenal cannot lose points early into a season if they want to continue being title contenders, and because they're gonna have that dip in form. It's just inevitable. They're gonna have that dip in form in around the December area. So it's just about banking and investing early into your season to make sure that you have that leeway space for a little bit of a dip. and you know that's gonna happen to Arsenal for whatever this regularly happens in Premier League teams, especially when you have teams like Liverpool, Man City, and now Arsenal who are fighting for every single trophy. They're gonna have a dip in form. But the worst thing that could happen to Arsenal really just happened, which was that they got Saka injured. Saka's not injured. He's not gonna be playing against Liverpool. I had to see if it's a home game or an away game, but if it's a game at the Anfield, the most that Liverpool can do is just defend deep and try to get that and try to look for at least a point. Liverpool have not been looking so good, so it's gonna be exciting seeing that game. And then as far as the next team that was contenders for the title was Manchester City. People would argue that Wolves, they looked very well, that Man City looked very good against Wolves in their first game. I wouldn't argue that. I would not make that argument. Man City did not look good at all. I thought they were low-key trash. That defense is sus as can be. And now with Ederson not being there, it just adds more of a liability to their defense because now they can't pass back. They don't have that basically extra outfield player with excellent passes that would always be open, and that would even add to the offense really, because now they have no goalkeeper that can shoot long balls to Erling Haaland. And how many times did we see Man City score a goal like that from these past years? So Ederson, I would never argue that Ederson was a good goalkeeper. I think if you look at just his goalkeeping ability, he was actually not the best. I always thought that the best way to score on Manchester City is just shoot long balls. Ederson it seems like he's just always out of position. But he played the Pep system perfectly. He was everything that a goalkeeper from Pep Guardiola would really dream of, because with their high possession style, with the way they play, teams just aren't going to have a lot of chances on them. But yeah, now we're going to see if Donnarumma comes in. I don't think it's going to work out. Absolutely no way does Donnarumma, who has a mistake in him. Look, as good as Donnarumma was last season, and as good as Donnarumma has always been, he's a goalkeeper with a mistake on him, and I think he's going to get exposed. You're asking for a goalkeeper that has a mistake in them to play with the ball on their feet. It's going to happen. I know they're going to ask for Pep Guardiola to change their system. It's not going to be that simple. I think if Donnarumma comes to Manchester City, he's going to get exposed. And I just don't see Manchester City actually being in the race. I think by the time December comes in, they're going to be out. They're not going to be in the title race. And I think also that we're going to see Pep Guardiola's last season. He's the new players that are coming in, they just don't work well with the Pep system, because they're system players, but in order for the Pep Guardiola system to work out, you need highly tactical players, like highly technical players, I should say, players that are good with the ball on their feet, players that can pass quick, but also that can play into their system. So and it's really like I just don't think the new generation would suit Pep Guardiola. And if Pep Guardiola continues being a manager, I predict him to have a similar downfall to Jose Mourinho. Different reasons, but it's similar. And honestly, it's gonna look worse for Guardiola with the amount of money that he spent. So yeah, by December, Manchester City, they're not gonna be in the title race. Next on the contenders list for the title, Chelsea, they started off against Crystal Palace. They draw. Was it 1-1 or 0-0? I believe it was 0-0. But, Crystal Palace is a good team. They came off that Liverpool win in the Community Shield. But Chelsea, again, they're one of these teams that basically didn't have a preseason. So you have to give them a benefit of the doubt. You can only expect that this team will grow into their season. And the first game, it wasn't the best. I think was it against West Ham that Chelsea played and they won 3-0 or more. West Ham, they're one of the favorite teams to get regulated. And I think Chelsea I feel like you still can't make much from what's happening in this team, and I just don't think Chelsea have that balance of experienced players, and the squad is just too young, and I just see a lot of players in that Chelsea squad that, despite them having won the Club World Cup, I just don't. I see a lot of mistakes in that Chelsea squad. So, yep, I think my prediction right now is that Manchester City is going to finish 4th. I have right now, in this current state, Chelsea finishing ahead of Manchester City, and I have Liverpool 2nd, and I have Arsenal 1st. And before the season started, before really even preseason started, I had Liverpool winning, Manchester City 2nd, Arsenal 3rd, and I had Chelsea 4th. But we're a couple games in, and I'm still making pretty early and bold predictions, but I don't think the season is gonna, which is good because the past seasons have been trash. The Premier League has basically been like, the Premier League winner has been pretty much figured out by December. So this is good, but yeah, Arsenal, I think that this season will be the season where they find their missing puzzle piece. All the players, the only thing that can prevent this from happening is if certain players get injuries. But overall, I think the strongest squad is Arsenal squad, and to win a season, it's not necessarily who is the best starting 11. It's a balance of who's fit, who has the strongest squad, and who's the most consistent. But I think who's the most consistent and who has the strongest squad goes hand in hand, because I think that Salah is gonna not be as effective as he was last season. I've been saying this for a while though, but he's getting up there in age. He's getting up there in age, and he's working with a whole lot of new players. So that's gonna affect his flow, and now you're asking him to really do even more, because now he has to produce those same numbers with different players, and I just don't see that happening in this day and age. And I see that Liverpool squad, although it's a stronger squad overall, I think how they integrate into the team is a little sus. As far as the other teams, I don't think Newcastle would have a strong season. I don't think Aston Villa will have a strong season. Manchester United, I predicted them finishing 5th, but I still have them definitely within the top 10. I'm gonna say the most they'll finish is 5th, the least 8th, and Spurs too. I think I have them finishing 5th. Spurs 5th, and then Manchester United around 8th to 5th area. Most they'll be 5th. Spurs the most. Well, I think they could potentially get into the top 4, but we'll see. Spurs are low-key the dark horse of the Premier League this season. So again, I think this is the best Premier League season we're gonna see in a while. It seems like the top clubs are starting to invest heavily, and basically they have started a new generation of the league. Now you're not gonna see that Son. You're not gonna see Son and Spurs anymore. Kane. You're not gonna see all these older players in Manchester United that they needed to just get out. Rashford's not there for Manchester United, and then for Liverpool, I think this is Salah's last year. So it's a new generation in the Premier League, which is overall good because it's a fresh set of faces and a new mentality into the whole entire league. So anyways, guys, if you like this video, follow and subscribe. Tell me what you guys think. Who do you guys have finishing top 4? I can't talk right now. Who do you guys have finishing in the top 4? Let me know. Or really top 5, I guess. But yep, Pumpkin Picks. Ow!